Kamakhya, Jai Bhairava, Jai Matara. So this has to be the standard greeting for me because any occasion without taking their names is not complete. And whatever I do, whatever I have done, and whatever I may do in future, or whatever gets done through me is only by the inspiration of these three uh, devatas whom I worship primarily. There are others also I worship, but it's very important. So today is a Thursday. On Thursdays, I do specific. I mean, those who of you might have been aware of the sadhanas that I have asked people to do. On Thursdays, I specifically insist on doing Ma Tara's very simple sadhana. Very simple because Ma Tara sadhana can be very complicated also. It starts from simple bhakti. So my position in terms of how I look at these devatas is slightly different from the orthodox, but also very different from the absolutely the without any rules, neither fully here nor fully there, because that is how the reality of sadhana actually is. So there has to be some decorum of rules, because without rules it becomes all haywire. But at the same time, your consciousness should not be tied entirely to following of the rules to the last dot, because there are many things in sadhana specifically as you go, and this is the first insight that comes to any upasaka, genuine upasaka. My first guru used to tell me that. First guru means he's very categorical that I cannot take his name in public. And he is the kind of person, if I take his name, he knows it right at that moment that I've taken his name, and he'll tell me not to take his name. So he used to tell me that there is something there. Your guru will teach you some things you will do through your practice, your consistency, your discipline. Beyond that also there is something, the X factor, which has to come from within you. Until that is there, the deity whom you are worshipping, and that goes for every devata, not just for Ma Tara, Ma Kamakhya or Bhairav Baba, anybody. That barrier is not crossed. There is a certain barrier, and that barrier is inside the mind. That barrier is created by our own karmas. To break down that, go beyond that, there is like a moment of a jump from the normal state of consciousness to the extraordinary state of consciousness. The ordinary mind that we are engaged with at the moment is a product of all the purva samskaras, all the various sadhanas, or any activity that we have done through past lives. What we are trying to do eventually by the process of sadhana, to the anugraha of the devatas whom we are engaging, that eventually this mind, it either becomes completely still. If it becomes still, then you experience what the Upanishads call the Brahman, the absolute state, or it transforms itself. It transforms into a very different type of mind. A mind that is steady, which does not have incessant clamors going on in the head. There is no running commentary going on inside your head. That is the first sign of genuine progress. When the chatter inside the head reduces, whomsoever you worship, whatever be your path, and I'm not only saying worship of devatas through Tantra Marga, if you're doing yoga, if you're doing meditation, if you're doing bhakti, kirtan, etc., everything. And Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi used to say that. I mean, I remember I had read it in one of the books related to him, when somebody had asked him that what is the true sign of progress, and he said that the lack of unnecessary thoughts in the mind. That, in my experience, is the greatest statement that anybody has ever made in terms of understanding the true progress Are you progressing or are you not? It is not necessarily linked to extraordinary powers, which is good. I mean, it can come. It comes to a lot of people as you go higher and higher. It is a byproduct of the change of consciousness. But the most important thing is that has the chatter inside the mind calmed down? There has to be a stillness inside. There's a constant stillness. And in that stillness, you feel a degree of peace. Initially, when that stillness comes, you will feel a little disturbed. I'm audible, right? Okay. You'll feel a little disturbed because you're not accustomed to the stillness. You'll feel, and some people, not you, by you, I mean that there are some people who may feel, who are not accustomed to being silent. And by silent, I don't mean just silence in the physical sense, but silence inside your head. So there is a state of panic that comes initially when that silence comes. Oh, there are so many things to do. I have to finish this, I have to finish that. Why am I losing track of things? Because it's just like a curtain dropping, your thoughts will suddenly drop. And that state, once it becomes very mature, once it becomes very steady inside the sadhak, upasak, then a guidance comes. And that guidance is very divine. That is flawless. That is very unique. It has a strange capacity. For example, you may be sitting down and talking. Right at that moment, you may just think of somebody, some XYZ, some old friend, a relative, maybe your office, something like that. And a specific thought will come into your head that this has to happen, or that has to happen, or this has happened, or XYZ is thinking like this, and you will act on it with complete faith, without any kind of physical evidence. And you will see that it produces something very dramatically powerful. What you did, the action that you performed based on that peculiar intuitive guidance that entered your head, turns out into something very profound and accurate in reality. This is how this guidance works. And this intuition, though, is not possible so long as the mind is constantly going about in its rhythm, in its own cycle, in its patterns of thinking. We develop, by the age of 18, by the age of 20, we develop certain patterns in thinking, and that keeps repeating over life, through life experiences. The whole point of the sadhana, the whole point of why we are worshipping Ma Tara, when we say that she is Neela Saraswati, and I have mentioned this earlier as well, one is the technical aspect, but the tattva of Neela Saraswati is very different. She's from the domain which is beyond the ordinary mind. When the mind becomes very still, then only she is able to pour down. Remember, it's like a waterfall. There is a pouring of thoughts that will come, there's a pouring of energy that will come, and it will have an absolute accurate guidance. When we see the iconography of Ma Tara, the most beautiful aspect we find is that she has Shiva in her lap, which is not there in any of the other Mahavidyas, not there in any of the other Devis whom we worship. And this very specific and peculiar iconography of Ma Tara is most unique in Tarapit, among other places. So a force, a being, a transcendental reality who has the ability to become a mother to Shiva can become the mother to anybody, even to gods. And this motherliness, by the way, is not like a human mother. Human mothers are very different in their own ways. That's all good. But she operates from the principle of truth, which means that what has to be done, when it has to be done, through whatever force it has to be done, she'll get it done. The job of the Upasaka is eventually, once your mind becomes steady, you develop an organic faith on that silence. That silence is the doorway to Tara. That silence is the doorway. Once you keep doing the mantra, even if you keep doing meditating on her and it activates, someday you will realize that she is also the Devi of Mahashunya. Absolute, complete, throbbing silence. But inside that silence, there's a germ of every single possibility in the universe. It's not the Upasaka's role. In fact, the Upasaka will be overwhelmed when that experience comes. Your ordinary mind is incapable of processing it. It's like we see examples of this in our texts also, in different incidents that tell us very categorical stories if we are careful, if we are discerning. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we see when the Karma Yoga, for the first chapters goes, then Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc. goes, and then the Vibhutis come, and then Lord Krishna shows the Vishwarupa. His first reaction is fear. So here is Arjuna, who is a terrific warrior, who has been with Krishna all his life, who has divine weapons at his beck and call, who is considered and praised very highly in the text at various places as the greatest of the dharmic warriors, is absolutely stunned when he comes face to face with a reality which is way beyond the capacity of his mind to process. The mind, the emotion, and the physical body, all three, the instruments that we are born with and using which we navigate this world, is incapable of processing something that is truly infinite. That is the basic idea of the Vishwarupam. And then he just bows down and says that, I knew you as a friend. Take that four-armed form, which is the form of Vishnu that we worship. And Bhagavan, in his kindness, changes his Swarupa. This is not just about Krishna. The same principle happens with all devatas, whomsoever you are worshipping. The Ishta can, at one point, decide that, okay, you have been doing sadhana for so long, let me take you to the higher realms. What is the experience of the higher realms? In that state, an infusion of power comes. And when that infusion of power comes, the mind's resistance will drop. Emotional body, emotional mind, the normal calculative mind, and even the physical body. There is an absolute only one way an ordinary upasaka can interact with that which is truly infinite. And that is to complete an absolute surrenderance. There is no calculation that works. There is no hisab that works. There is no mantra that works also. By the way, mantra is up to that point. So beyond that point, and that is very rare. So do not, by the way, this caveat is important because very often I may say something and then immediately there'll be, 10 people mailing that, okay, I've just reached there and all that. That's very funny, but no offense, but these are stages that take lifetimes to reach. It is not that simple. And if you reach it, you don't have to tell anybody. It will be evident. It is going to be evident. So that silence is the first step into the realm of Matara, very truly speaking. And that is also, by the way, not just Matara. When we worship Bhairava, when we say that he is the Lord of the cremation ground, so he is Shiva who has come down into this plane. And this whole plane is a cremation ground. Death can happen anytime, anywhere to anybody. It need not be a particular space where we take the physical remnants of that individual and we burn them or bury them or cremate them or whatever. No. Wherever death happens, there itself is the energy of death present. And Shiva, who is from the transcendental planes, out of his infinite kindness, takes the Swarupa of Bhairava and comes down here. My guru used to tell me that from the sadhak's point of view, not scholar's point of view, from the sadhak's point of view, the easiest way to understand Shiva and Bhairava is that it's just one devata. The moment he steps into the cremation ground, he becomes Bhairav. And not just the cremation ground. When there is if you read the Shiva Purana, when he is destroying different asuras, at the moment when he pins Andakasura in his Trishula and holds him up, or any of the asuras, at that moment, that tremendous transformative power that he exudes from himself. Shiva is the very Shanta normally. But when he transforms into that warrior par excellence, where there's nobody who's greater than him in that battle at that time, then he becomes like Bhairavam. That state, that fierce energy comes in, single pointed concentration. Absolute. This is to be done. There is no fear. The concept of fear does not exist. Bhairava, wherever he is, fear cannot exist there. He is like that. He's that steady. But he's also very kind. How do we know this? We see for example, again, from the Andakasura Vada, when he pins Andakasura in the Trishula, we find a very interesting thing that he realizes that he cannot fight and win this battle against Shiva. So he starts singing praises of Shiva. There is I think, an Ashtottara Nama of Shiva in the Purana at that specific place. It's a very beautiful and very unique Ashtottara Nama, different from the normal Shiva Ashtottara. And he keeps singing that praise of Shiva. Shiva calms down. Because the anger of Bhairava, that ferocity of Bhairava is not vindictive. He's neither cruel nor vindictive. He is only there to teach a lesson. The quicker the person realizes the lesson, immediately he is into his very Somya, very, very beautiful and very compassionate form. And he changes the Asura into one of his chief Ganas and gives him an immortal life. After having fought with him for such a long time, in 1 second he just changes everything and says that, okay, now he has repented, he has changed, and there is no need for cruelty. Cruelty is an Asuric tendency. Devatas don't have cruelty. They will kill, but there is no cruelty. They will kill for dharma, but they will never be cruel. Unnecessary pain and enjoying unnecessary pain is only a characteristics of Asuric Shaktis, not of the divine energies. So the whole thing about sadhana, one of the first things that you will learn is that as you keep doing, and consistency is very important here, because remember that all these things that I'm talking to you, it may be that even to reach these stages will take a lot of time. It's not 5 days, 6 days, etc. I have at times spoken that to start a sadhana, you should do at least 3 years consistently. But 3 years is your nursery entry into sadhana. Let's be very categorical. There's no sugarcoating in this. And remember, the interesting thing is, suppose you have a lot of Purvajanma Samskara, you have done these sadhanas in past lives, so these are accumulated in your consciousness. And you have worshipped Matara, you have worshipped Bhairava. So you start doing sadhana and very quickly you will start seeing results also. Still 3 years is important. Because your adhara, the moment the process is so powerfully created by nature, the moment somebody takes birth, there are layers and layers of Maya that is put on the soul. It is not going to go away. That time frame has to be passed. So success in sadhana is also your effort, patience, and finally the sanction of Mahakal. Mahakal is time. He says that this will come after 10 years, it will come after 10 years. It does not matter how many experiences you have before that. All are good. But don't get overwhelmed by that. The important thing is to do the sadhana and enjoy it. Look forward to when can I sit down and do whatever you are doing, whatever process you are doing. You are doing the Bhairava Nama Japa, you are doing the Matara Thursday sadhanas, or you are doing Kamakhya Stotra. Start developing, make it into something that you really enjoy. You look forward to it. When do I get to sit down? When do I get to sit down again? Next day, day after day after. And then eventually it creates a certain harmony inside. Moment there is a sense of harmony inside, in the subtle experience, it is eventually going to create harmony around you. That is how these things work. It is going to change your karmic patterns, dissolve some of them, but those which cannot be dissolved, even then also there is a change in the attitude that happens in the Upasaka. You don't keep cribbing and fighting all the time. You understand acceptance. Acceptance of reality is very important. Something that many of us, all of us in fact, at some point or the other, have to tell ourselves. There are some things that you can change and there are some things you will not be able to change because the destiny is like that. So there are two ways of approaching it. One is the attitude of constantly cribbing and crying and ki mere sathi kyun ho raha hai, amar sange keno hocche, shobar sob kichu bhalo hocche, amari. That is one attitude. Or the other is that is okay. It's all right. It's fine. Wherever I am, I'm happy. That happiness is delinked from the external circumstances. The day you are able to do that, you have made a remarkable progress in your sadhana. If you are able to delink your happiness from the external circumstances. I know it's easy to say, it's difficult to do, but at least in theory, you should know that this is the aim. If you have this aim lodged in your mind, in your subconscious, and you keep doing the sadhanas, a time will come where you will be able to experience this. And that itself is a very remarkable progress for any upasaka in the path of sadhana. There are certain specifics also. As you go, keep doing the sadhanas, you will acquire some kind of little bit of the energy of the tattva of the devata, whomsoever you are worshipping. So if you worship Bhairava, if he is the primary form that you like most, and you keep doing a sadhana for years, one thing that is going to happen is eventually there is going to be a reduction in fear. And when I say reduction in fear, I don't mean fear of supernatural things. That is there. But an average human being, there is all the time some or the other stress, whether it is in office, whether it is there, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a family, this, that, etc. And the moment there is a stressful situation inside, you feel a certain hesitation for a brief second. Again, I have to go through this. Again, there will be a fight. So that feeling itself is also a fear. What Bhairava does is eventually makes one accept reality. Oh, all right, theek hai. Whatever it is, there's a steadiness. There's no fighting with it. There's no running away from it. You don't run towards it. You don't run away from it. Just be steady, like Shiva, like Bhairava. And once that state becomes internalized, two things will happen. Fear reduces dramatically. It's not that fear will completely go, because there is the fear of death that is lodged deep inside every human being. And by this, I do not mean that. So a lot of us have this here that, oh, we don't think of death normally, which is all good. But the moment when the prana leaves the body, the subtle body leaves the physical body, at that point, there is some fear. Why? That is because the soul has undergone this experience so many times that deep-seated fear is lodged within us. And that is the root of all other fears. And that is why I say Bhairava is immortal. He goes beyond that fear also. He can teach you how to go beyond that fear. It's not easy, but that is too far off. Even if we start not being stressed by the things that stress us normally, that it's a progress, in my view. That is what Bhairava can do first. So at the end of the day, you acquire some of the qualities of the Devata. So Bhairava's one of the qualities is tremendous intensity. That intensity comes into the Upasaka. Intensity sometimes gets reflected as anger also. But remember, there's a big difference between anger that comes from a Devata and not just Bhairava, whether it's Ma Kali, even Tara. Tara is very uniquely positioned, Ma Tara, that she can make one experience even the Soumya Swarup of Tripur Sundari, that the Purnima form, if as I call it, or the Amavasya form of Kali, she can switch between two poles as per her will. But that nature, that anger is very unique. It is a very dharmic anger, which means that if you see something wrong, that anger shoots up. But there is no lingering effect. It doesn't persist. It is not like that. Human anger is very different. আমাকে 10 বছর আগে ও সেই কথা বলেছিল, বাস, it is going on for 100 years now in your head. That is human anger. There is a vindictiveness, there is a jealousy, there is like, I have to get back. How do I get back? This whole business is human. This got not, deities don't believe, it don't work that way. For them, the anger will shoot up right at the moment, and it will be propelling the person into some activity. In that state of anger, you do this or you do that. And that anger is a kavach also. It removes fear at that moment. Suppose you are standing against somebody, a theoretical situation, somebody, something wrong is being done by somebody who is far more powerful. Your normal mind will never allow you to protest that, because you will think, oh, the person is so powerful. What will I do? He can get back to me. The various things are possible. But when the anger of Bhairava comes, you don't care. You do not care who is in front. It will force you into an action. And right after that action, it will just come down to your normal state. If there is a correction in that individual, you may even become very good friends, because you don't carry those things into your head. That it comes and it goes. That is how Bhairava is. He can pin Andhakasura in the Trishula, and once this Andhakasura changes and realizes, repents, he understands that he is not capable and he has made a mistake, he can forgive him and give him some of the biggest boons. He makes him into one of the greatest ganas of Shiva. Both of the same thing are happening in the same episode. So there is no lingering, there is no vengeance. Vengeance is a very human quality. Deities don't work with vengeance. It's not even there. So these qualities also come into the Upasaka. So many more things to say, but I think we'll start with the question answers because otherwise this can go on for very long.
Pranam sir.
Haan.
I am Orko Ghosh. Sir, is the Batuka Bhairava Mula Mantra and Nama Mantra given by you in the YouTube a Diksha by itself? Does Batuk Bhairava helps one reach Matara? Thank you, sir.
Okay. So your first question was Batuk Bhairava Mula Mantra?
And Nama Mantra, sir.
Haan. Then?
Given in YouTube by you, is a Diksha by itself?
So this question comes up very often. So there is, when you understand the word Diksha, you have to understand it very clearly. Number two things are there. One is something called an Upadesham. If I have to give you a very technical answer to this, technical answer is that there is something called Upadesham and something called Diksha. So traditionally, what happens is, in the path of Shakti Upasana, and where Bhairava Upasana also comes as a part of it, though there are sampradayas where Bhairava is exclusively kept in the forefront of the sadhana. So the first step is an Upadesham. Upadesham is where there is a general advice. Okay, you worship this Devata, this is the mantra of the deity, and you worship that. Now, technically, who can give an Upadesham? That question also comes up. Can everybody give an Upadesham? Very technically, the scriptures say that somebody who has attained a Purnavishek Diksha can technically give an Upadesham. But Upadesham by itself is not the full Diksha, because Diksha has various components. One component is so traditionally, what used to happen is you give the mantra Upadesham, the person chants the mantra for 6 months, 1 year. Some older generation gurus could even go on for 2-3 years. These days, everything is in a hurry. But previous generations was very thorough. Both sides. The student was thorough, disciple was thorough, the guru was also thorough. No one was in a hurry. So after this, then comes the process of Diksha, which has two components. One is where a larger mantra of the same Devata or the same mantra may be mentioned to that Upasaka in the year on a specific nakshatra, tithi, etc. Along with it, specifically if a Mahavidya is involved, there is also something known as the Abhishekam. That is very important. Abhishekam is important for Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda means if you are doing puja of the Devi, Mahavidyas. If the form of Devi is not a Mahavidya, Abhishekam is not mandatory. Even for the Mahavidyas, there are various traditions in India only where they do not go through the Abhishekam process properly. They give a Upadesham or this type of a Diksha where a mantra is given. I don't want to comment on that, but Diksha that involves an Abhishekam allows traditionally to do Karma Kanda, specifically if it is Vamachar Puja of Devi. However, you can consider these, everything that I put up online is with the consideration that this can be done by people, taking it as an Upadesham, and there is going to be absolutely no reaction, pratikriya of the mantra will not happen. Only those type of mantras, only those type of things which can be done en masse, because I know that there are thousands and thousands of people who watch those videos from everywhere across the world. Not everybody is of the same caliber in sadhana. So that is why I choose those type of sadhanas which are more or less largely safe for everybody to do, that do not require any complicated processes. There are only a handful of people who work in the organization, in the trust for various activities that we do with me, for whom I give a proper Diksha, Abhishekam and all that. And to them, there is certain more processes they have to do, because once you go into that part, your responsibility increases. It is not just you just take the mala and start doing japa. There are other things that you have to do. So it's a full-fledged, it's like a course. You enter into a school, so you have to study 10 subjects, you have to study 10 subjects. It's not like I don't feel like studying. Then the Diksha gets wasted and a karmic reaction comes to the guru also. So this is how it is. So anything that I put in the YouTube is with the consideration that it can be done by anybody. And even considering the lowest common denominator of spiritual condition, keeping that in mind, I give the mantras or any kind of processes to be done. So yes, you can do the Batuk Bhairava Mula Mantra. If you remember, if you see those videos, I would have mentioned that it also requires that you have been doing the Bhairava Nama Japa. If you have not done the Nama Japa, then no, you have to start with the Nama Japa. It connects you to Bhairava Tattva. So ideally, you should be doing the you can do that, but it's better to do the Om Bhairavaya Nama mantra first. This is only because there are a lot of people who do these sadhanas. I mean, we get mails from so many across the world. So that Nama mantra is good enough to connect to a person to the Bhairava Tattva. And eventually that can help you to go into higher realms of mantras. See, even right now, I think I am recording certain videos on the Ashtabhairavas, but I do not mention the mantras of the Ashtabhairavas. There are kramas of Ashtabhairava mantras because I do not know who is going to watch. That thing is always there in the mind. There could be somebody randomly trying an Ashtabhairava mantra which may not be suitable for that person. Karmic reaction is going to come to me. So that, taking that into consideration, I say that first do the Nama mantra, then you go into the Vatuka Mula mantra. Vatuka Mula mantra is very good to do for everybody, but still start with the Nama mantra.
Pranam sir, my name is Devata. Sir, I have done the Nama Japa of Bhairav Baba and I've recently started with the Mula Mantra of Batuka Bhairav. And sir, I'm incapable of explaining that experience. But sir, I have this urge or that inspiration for that matter to bring in an idol or a deity, a metal one. So I request your guidance on this part because nowadays on very popular e-commerce sites, these idols are available. And please explain me on that. And also, sir, I'm shaking. But so let's say I'm traveling or I'm ill. If I have that deity, how do I do that seva? If somebody else can do it on my behalf or if I can't do that. I hope I was able to articulate my thoughts.
So I have answered this question earlier as well. Those who have been following my writings or recordings would be aware of it. I personally do not encourage people to keep vigrahas. Why? That is a responsibility. So it's not like I go to the e-commerce shop or somewhere and I find a very beautiful vigraha and I just get it and keep it at home. No. So before every step that you take in sadhana, you have to think of the secondary and the tertiary reaction of your action. Once you start thinking like that, your progress will happen very smoothly and nicely. So once you have a vigraha, there are two options. One is that you do a pran pratisthapana of the vigraha, but that becomes very tricky because if you do pran pratisthapana, you have to do seva of the vigraha. Now there are many rules of vigrahas. One is that your vigraha should not be, if you are keeping in a puja space room, in a normal room, a vigraha should be small vigraha. It cannot be very large vigraha. So depending on the size of the vigraha, accordingly, seva has to be offered to the vigraha. Seva means basically you have to do japa, you have to offer naivedyam, you have to do abhishekam. Each devata has his or her own niyamas and rules. When you are traveling, if it's a small vigraha, you can carry the vigraha. I used to carry a Bhairava Vigraha for a long time and it was almost this length. And somebody had gifted me the Bhairava Vigraha and it was very powerful. So I used to carry him. I mean, extra luggage and all that. I used to specifically have even now when I travel, I carry another luggage with all the yantras and devatas whom I have to worship because so this is, my point is that it is neither yes nor no. It is for the upasaka to decide, can you take the responsibility? It should not happen. And this happens to people. With full josh and enthusiasm, you bring the vigraha. 6 months down the line, vigraha is where vigraha is, you are where you are. Nobody knows what is happening. Okay. That will incur a dosha. And that dosha will come to you. So, even if you don't do pran pratisthapana, if you just have a vigraha of Bhairava, see, Bhairava is one devata who is very, we say that he is present in this plane. 3 months. 3 Ashtami Tithis, if somebody regularly worships Bhairava every day, 3 Ashtami Tithis, almost take it in writing, a fraction of his Shakti will be there in the Vigraha. If the Vigraha is correct Dhatu, if the Vigraha is well made, then even more Shakti. And if the Upasaka is capable. See, everything is individualistic. Sadhana is not like a textbook thing. It is written this way that therefore it will happen that way. No, it doesn't work that way. So it depends on who is doing the sadhana. It's very important. But 3 Ashtami Tithis, if somebody does Bhairava Sadhana, 100% his energy will be present around you. But point is, you have to take care. It is like, suppose you keep a pet at home, you cannot just close the doors and suddenly go for 10-day holiday. That is cruelty. Same way, Vigraha you have to treat like as if There is a being with you. Either you take care or you find somebody who can take care. These niyamas have to be followed. So it depends on that. I personally do not encourage people to take vigrahas unless I know that person very thoroughly and I am confident that he or she has that responsibility, that maturity to take care of the vigraha.
Thank you. Namaskaram, sir. My name is Ashmita. My question is from the perspective of a common sadhaka. Often in the path of spiritual sadhana, when we, confront with the reality, real situations, we come across a lot of badha. So, badha not only in terms of that something wrong will happen, but also I personally feel that it comes mostly from the near ones who are not walking the same path as we are. At the same time, those times especially, I personally feel that having a guru with us would have been much more beneficial. But nowadays, in the current situation, this Guru Shishya Parampara is not really much common, and we do not find gurus who are really authentic in that sense. So in that case, how do you suggest for a common person who have, maybe just like you said, 3 years. So I am like maybe 3.5 years down the line with my own sadhana. I'm into yoga, not really into tantra. But so for a person like me who's very new, but also very seriously, wanting to do this and, make progress, how do you suggest to, for them to continue?
So there is no easy solution out of this. So this is a very rampant issue that happens with almost everybody. Unless you are born into a family or an environment where such practices are appreciated and others make way for you, which is very rare. That kind of punya is one in thousands and thousands might have got it. There is only practical solutions to this in the sense of trying to do the sadhana at a time or in a manner which does not cause disturbance to others, or they do not, or anybody else does not cause any kind of. So that is one of the reasons I say, it reminds me that somebody had asked me a similar question. There's a lot of resistance at home. So I had advised that individual that you do the sadhana at a time when there is, maybe when there is no disturbance, or maybe at night. That was a special instance because the person had to do the sadhana and I knew the person well. When there is nobody to disturb you, do not make a show out of it. Do not do it with lot of fighting with family members and others because it's going to spoil your mind. But at the same time, understand that these are actually ways in which your own karmas are being released and neutralized. Somewhere or the other, the whole point why we do not attain enlightenment or moksha or jivan mukti, the conditions that are described, or samadhi for that matter. Each of the names of the devatas are mantras in itself. That is what our texts also mention. So when we say Tara, why doesn't Tara come in front of me right now immediately, like, there's some light and sound and she appears like in movies? Why is it not happening? Why do I have to chant Bhairava so many times and yet I can't see Bhairava? That is primarily because there's a thick and very thick wall of own karmas that blocks things from going ahead, because nature is the world's greatest accountant. So nature remembers what you have done 500 lifetimes ago. And so what is the hisab that is there? And it's constantly updating itself based on what actions you are doing. So the moment somebody enters into sadhana, it releases some of the karmas that are stored, and that causes various types of obstacles. It is very common. And in fact, 2 times these obstacles come. One is the initial stages and one at a very later stage. Suppose 100 is the mark of accomplishment or siddhi. Not in the negative sense. I don't mean siddhi means, taking out 5 rupee note from the pocket types siddhi. I'm saying that the final stage of communion, the jivan mukti avastha, that is also siddhi. Once somebody comes very close to that, tremendous amount of resistance will come. Everything in the universe will be put in front of you without an anchor. How far you are able to resist that and go ahead. Because nature is very, very smart. Nature is not in a hurry to make anybody progress anywhere. Nature rather wants If there is the slightest amount of flaw, put the person back. More lifetimes are there. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Jaldi nahi hai. There's no hurry at all. So yeah, one has to be a little bit in that case. First of all, the mind should not tell the mind that whatever is capable in that circumstances, you do that. Do not do more than that. Because there's no point in ending up in constant friction around. Number one point. Number two, for the path of Devata Upasana, not yoga, Devata Upasana, it is good to pray to the deities also. Whomsoever you are worshipping, tell the problem. This is what I'm facing. This is why one day you will not get the solution. But if you keep praying, there is some little bit of reduction in the problem that is likely to happen over time. Because they are capable of it. They do it in their judgment. Prayer is your right. Whether it's granted or not is their domain. You cannot force them. Nobody can force them. But that is the only way. And coming to the question of whether Guru is needed. But equations have become little muddy across the world. And that is the reality. I mean, a lot of traditional people get very worked up if I tell them that. But I have seen enough. It's been more than 20 years that I've been doing Bhairava Sadhana. And I've seen a lot of people, all sorts, good and bad, everything. So yeah, if this is Kali Yuga, if there is corruption, why will not there be corruption in the spiritual path? Every path has corruption. Never give up common sense. Rule number one. Rule number two, unless your guru is somebody who is like a 10,000-year-old immortal being from the Himalayas, who is not going to come to you normally, then have reverence, but also have common sense. That's the only advice I give to people. Think about it, meditate on it, you will understand what I mean by common sense. If common sense is kept intact, you will be saved from a lot of errors that may come in. That there used to be a phase, there are texts which tell us that we consider the Guru to be the ultimate. It is from when Guru is giving the Diksha at that time, the text described that it is Shiva who comes into the body of the Guru. But in earlier ages, a lot of other things used to happen, which means that the Guru used to be, there's a process in which you test the Guru before you take the Guru. Guru tests you. These days, nothing of that sort happens. You go there, meet the Guru, little bit of praise you do, and Guru feels very happy. And bas, baki uske baad, after Diksha, God knows where is Guru. Anyway, no, not to spoil the mindset of people towards Gurus. Gurus are important, by the way. Without Guru, you will not progress. See, technically, suppose you are a terrific caliber Upasak. You are like one of those Nath yogis, the immortal Naths. Suppose you are of the caliber of 1/10 of Gorakshnath, suppose. Okay, super caliber. Even then also, your Shakti, if it goes here, from here till here, you cannot go on your own. Either a Guru has to come who has that capacity to take the Shakti upwards, or in very rare cases, the Devata may become a Guru and do that. On your own, you cannot do that. It is impossible. Between the Agya Chakra and the Shastra, the jump of Shakti, full scale Shakti, not like, little bit these days, though, people close their eyes 5 minutes and then they feel that I'm floating and Shakti has gone somewhere. No, I'm not talking about that, but actual thing, this jump is humanly not possible for an individual to do. It is only anugraha, blessings. When they decide ki I need to take this upasaka to that realm, they will pull you up that jump. Yes, till here you can attain by your own merit and effort if you are that caliber upasaka. But yeah, otherwise, practically take things. Do not, most importantly, do not spoil your mind in terms of why is it not happening? Why others are able to do it, not me? To be able to keep a positive frame of mind inside is a very big advantage in sadhana. So that's all I will say with this.
My name is Abhishek Padia. My question is, sir, like you said, the sadhana that we do, I'm doing a specific Nam mantra of Bhairava Baba. The stress related to the self is gone, but the stress related to the near and dear ones for their well-being, for their financial, that always remains. So a lot of the stress about death, I think I have overcome that. And it is more about the well-being of my near and dear ones that bothers me more rather than my own well-being. So your comments on that, sir. Second, in the very initial phase, because I think first of all, we should be very grateful to you because you might have been a path for us or this entire generation where we were exposed to Bhairava Baba, Kamakhya, and we are very grateful. Maybe Bhairava Baba chose you for that. And We are very grateful because probably we didn't even know. We have heard the name, but the deep knowledge and we got into it because of that, because of your podcast. So our first guru is actually you only, sir. And we are very grateful to that. My second question is, sir, that very initial stages of my sadhana, I had a very vivid dream. I don't know if it was just a dream or it was a message where you literally called me and said, you come meet me. And now that's been almost 2 years now, I believe. I sent you a message also. But then I realized, sir, that once I reach certain level of mantras, and ironically, sir, in the next 12 days, I'm going to complete my sankalpa. And I've had the privilege to listen to you and see you in person. So, I mean, that is, I believe, some sort of divine intervention of Bhairava Baba. So, your comments on that, sir. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. What was the first question? Oh, problems for others. See, the world is never going to be free of problems. Okay. Rule number 1. Whether you do sadhana, whether you do not do sadhana, problems will always be there. It has come for great people, people far greater than us. Take their biographies, be it Gautam Buddha, be it anybody, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, anybody, everybody had problems. We also have problems. If you stop doing sadhana, then also you'll have problems. So it's not going anywhere. वो कहीं नहीं जाने वाला है. The easiest way out for people around you is that to pray to your Ishta Devata. If you're worshipping Bhairava Baba, you pray to him. Prayer is your birthright, but he will give or not is his right. You cannot forcing a deity to give something that comes in the realm of prayogas. And let me tell you, in this Kali Yuga, there are no perfect prayogas. I have seen enough number of upasakas, gurus, aghori, tantric, everything I have seen. Nobody can guarantee results. Nahi hota hai. Nature is very smart. Maybe in the Satya Yuga, rishis and all had the capacity. This age, so it's all gone, and which is good in my opinion. So you can pray. But remember one thing. Prayer has to be with discrimination. Why? I know one specific case. Somebody close to that individual, somebody was suffering very badly health-wise, very complicated disease. And this person got super emotional. So I had, and asked me the same question, can I do some sadhana? Can I do a specific anushthan? Specific anushthan means taking a sankalpa, doing a mantra and saying that, oh, so much so I will do. So this thing should get over. That is a sankalpa, prayoga sankalpa, which I do not encourage for ordinarily to people to do. And I told them absolutely not. I told that individual, best you do is you pray to your Devata. Unko chahte hai, if he wants, he will give you that. And he did that, but he was very emotionally attached. 2-3 months down the line, that person recovered, but he fell ill very badly. Because karma has to go somewhere. Remember this, no Devata is going to take away the karma of another person. Just like that, why will he take away the karma? Because the whole principle is that you have a negative experience because of certain karmas. These karmas might have come from some past life. When those karmas were being done initially, you didn't take the permission of the deity. So why will he come and just randomly take away your karma? You have to suffer for that. So that is the whole process. The spiritual science of what we call in tantras as prayoga is basically, doing prayoga is very easy actually. So people ask me, even those who are very, whom I guide personally, very few people are there. So they keep asking, I want to do prayoga or how I want to do that. So I say that doing prayoga is very easy. The most difficult part is to know what to do, what not to do, for whom to do, how much to do, and when to say namaskar and go. That judgment, if you don't have, within a few months you will be finished. Because the currents of karma are so dangerous, they spare nobody. I have seen fantastic caliber people, exceptional Shakti, genuinely exceptional. But that type of people about whom some of the greatest men in this country, men and women, would do Shashtang Pranam. I won't tell any names here. I've seen that type of people, that kind of power. They had so much power. There are incidents where, I mean, this will sound absurd to people who do not believe, but people for whom doctors had written death certificate. I mean, they come there in half an hour, I don't know what they do, and then come out, and then that person who was supposed to be taken to the cremation ground gets up and starts talking, and he writes down a piece of paper that he's going to live for 20 years, 27 years, so many days, and that person actually lives that long. That type of person. But indiscriminately doing for others, ya to taking shortcuts with money. These are the two things that happens. Nature spares nobody. Nature, there is nobody more powerful than nature. There is nobody no more powerful than nature. Remember this. So yes, you can pray, but remember that if there's a financial difficulty, or before praying for somebody, first to understand what is your karmic contact with that person. If you are very closely connected to that person, say your parents, your wife, children, somebody like that, with whom nature has already set a karmic bond. So you cannot run away from that bond so easily. Then it is all right to pray. But pray, don't do Anushtan. Because Anushtan only do if you have the maturity and the understanding that you can take the karmic impact. Without, one of the first examples my guru had told me, he was very good in these things. He said that if you go into the cricket, in the cricket field, and somebody is throwing a ball at full pace at you, so if you don't even know how to hold it, so फिर क्या ही होगा? It comes and hits you and you end up, then everything is finished. So that is not, there is no bravado in that. That discrimination is very important. And this is why your own sadhana has to be very solid, because the Devata himself or herself will tell you, you can do for this person, you should not do for this person. But if somebody is close, best option is you pray. Number one. Number two question is that regarding dreams, right? So there are two things. I'll explain to you very simply. So I do a lot of, when I've been doing, there are various sadhanas I do, and as years go by, I will be doing more sadhanas. There is some place where destiny has placed me, some place where Bhairava Baba has placed me. All these things that is happening here or anywhere else that I go or other things, it was not planned. I had never had the slightest desire for any of these things. My life was going very happily. Nothing. And I've told that various times. Like first time when the came to me, when the offer came to me for a podcast, I had never heard of that. I was like, what is this? But it had come. I was in Sanatana Siddhashram at that time. Sanatana Siddhashram is in Birbhum. And I had finished a Bhairava Homa. It was an Ashtami Tithi. And I had some very strong nimittas in the Homa. Right after the Homa got over, that through one common contact, it came. And I had never heard of this channel or anything like that. And just like that, I said, I'll go. Because some more things happened. Initially, I was like, should I go, should I not? And then there's another instruction came that they will ask for a specific date which is important for Baba. And just go there, don't think. So I had no clue what to speak, what is the talk, kuch nahi idea. I had not even met them before that day. So I just went there like that. And then rest is, as they say, history. Things, one thing happened to another, etc., etc. So it is Bhairava who governs these things. So what happens is that there is a subtle form that is created if you do sadhana. And it can happen to you also, or anybody for that matter. Say 10 years if you keep doing sadhana, there is a subtle body that will get created. That body has a life of its own. It can go and interact. So there are very often I come across this. And there are many people across India, even somebody in, some American in somewhere there only. He also keeps getting dreams and all that and instructions of me coming there. I have no clue of all these things, by the way. My job is to worship Bhairava, worship Matara, worship Ma Kamakhya, and worship Kartikeya. These 4 devatas I worship, that's it. What they want to do, they want to do. I will not even pretend. I can tell you a lie and say, Mere ko sab pata hai. I know everything. What is happening? Nothing. I know no clue. Not the slightest clue. And that is good. If you know where you stand, that means that you are in acceptance of reality. You don't have to pretend to be something that you are not. And that saves you from a lot of trouble. It is not my role. So my point is, if somebody gets a dream, it's a good thing. Remove urgency from there. That immediately something has to happen. No, it doesn't mean that way. Have faith, keep doing sadhana. I am an ordinary person, but Bhairava is very powerful. He is aware of everything that is happening. Whoever is doing what, he is aware. And at the right time and the right place in the right moment, he will send guidance. That much faith I have in him. I have seen it in my life, and I've seen it in the lives of various other people. So you develop tremendous faith on Devata. Iska aur one more advantage of this is that as a culture we have, for good or bad, done too much of Vyakti Puja, which is good, but it has its own in this age. So let's just, put that whole puja and whole bhava into the ones who will never fail you. If they come, they will never fail you. They will never cheat you. वहाँ पे कोई corruption नहीं है. There is no corruption in the realm of the gods. They may not answer you, but they will never cheat you. Human being can cheat you. Even the best of human beings, there is some, even if the person levitates, some other time he's sitting on the ground only, right? So that time other things may work. So that way, that's all I will say.